All right, so I want to speak to people about cyber stalking and basically what cyber stalking is and what cyber stalking can lead to. Cyber stalking leads to gang stalking. Um, I'll start out with this reading. Cyber stalking has increasingly become the precursor to gang stalking. What is gang stalking? Simply three or more people participating collectively in the stalking of an individual or another group. In today's world, the use of technology makes up for 90% of gang stalking. Stalkers utilize technology to co-create strategically planned group stalkings by following their prey's every move. What's even more alarming is these group stalkers do not just follow the individual routinely, creating panic and fear by making themselves visible here and there. It goes much deeper and is much more disturbing. They use psychological harassment tactics known as color harassment, wearing together as a group pattern color clothing, wearing together as a group pattern color clothing such as red and black, and will go so far as to even follow their victims in red and black cars. Now, everybody should know what stalking is. If you've heard of somebody saying they had a argument with their ex and their ex is stalking them, a lot of women, I've seen it historically, a lot of women will say that they got into an argument, with their significant other, and now this man has been following them back and forth outside their places of business, their jobs. When they go home, their ex may have been in their house, or they go and look out the window and they see his car outside. That's like historically how people look at stalking. But in today's world, stalking has changed. That stuff is still going on. It still happens. But now you have people who are saying they're being stalked through their computer. People put up a lot of information on Facebook about themselves. Their work history can be sought out, so you can see what places they've worked at. You can go online and find out who are these people related to. You can see who somebody's related to. If you can get their phone number, or you can hack into, say, their Facebook account, you can find personal information about the person. So a stalker, once upon a time, might have gone through somebody's trash to find letters they've written, to find bills they've had, to find photographs, find out their personal likes and dislikes. There's a lot you can analyze about a person by studying their trash. Now, all that stuff still happens. But in today's world, studying the person virtually it helps a stalker. It helps them to find out how the person psychologically ticks. What is this person that I'm going after made of? And the stalker will have a fascination with the person, right? So, gang stalking isn't really so much about these people necessarily that are participating in it having a fascination with the person most of the time. Sometimes they will, but most of the times it doesn't really work like that when it comes to gang stalking. I'll get into that a little bit later. But cyber stalking, that's what somebody thinks of when they're being cyber stalked. This person likes me, or this person is jealous of me, or this person wants to be me. The stalker wants to be me. And so they're trying to identify themselves with me because they want to be me. Or there's something they want to attach themselves. A lot of times celebrities will get stalkers that the stalker wants to be attached to the person's fame. The person is constantly calling the celebrity or driving by their home and wanting to know everything about them. There's something within the person's psyche that wants to attach to the star to make them feel like they're a part of that. That seems to be the case in a lot of these celebrity stalking cases. So, okay. Now, with the color coding harassment, like I talked about, color harassment. Okay, say you have 3 or more people following you. That's group stalking. That's gang stalking. 3 or more people is a gang. Now, there are general themes that come along within gang stalking. And this is a deeper type of psychological harassment upon the victim. It's not just periodically a small group of people following them around town or coming to their workplace and parking outside, though that does happen within gang stalking. I've talked to people that get gang stalked, and sometimes they don't get the color harassment, or they usually don't get it. It fluctuates. But most people who get gang stalked will have constant barrages of this, what you call color harassment. People wearing black and red or some other color. You have people who are utilizing technology to strategically coordinate these events of stalking, these stalking events, these group stalkings. Then they're adding deeper psychological themes, this color harassment to it, which is very strenuous on the person. This is a very strong attack on a person's psyche, especially if they don't know what's going on. Okay? And they will go so far as to wear red and black clothing and use red and black vehicles. When it comes to gang stalking, I think that's one of the things that's separating people online who are looking into this, is they don't quite get that. Why are individuals wearing red and black? Okay, you're not being stalked by one person, you're being stalked by a few people, but what is happening when you're saying individuals are wearing red and black? This is the deeper, deeply disturbing psychological harassment that is attached to gang stalking. And this is what's making so many people panic. This is what's causing a lot of suicides. A lot of people are doing violent outlashings because of these deeper psychological attachments to the stalking that's occurring to them. They'll go so far as even use red and black cars. And they do this showing their victims their numbers. Okay, they do this showing their victims their numbers and that they are present. And this is my blog that I'm reading. I'm not really a writer. I've never really tried to write anything, so I'm steady as I go. Just trying to put enough on there so people know what's going on. Does one need to ask? Yeah, they do this showing their victims their numbers and that they are present. Does one need to ask why there are so many suicides, violent outlashings, social and economic disasters in the life of the victims of gang stalking? Most of the people getting gang stalked, they don't know what this is. They don't know that it's happening. So people are coming online to Facebook, Twitter, sites like Plenty of Fish, and they're entering the virtual world. And people are starting to receive strange emails. They're starting to get strange text messages, strange phone calls. They're starting to receive things, they receive little memes and stuff on their phone from anonymous numbers saying stuff like, "Are you still alive?" and things like that, scaring the person. This is a form of gang stalking because there's more than one person behind this usually. Okay, it's usually a group doing this, even online, even in the cyber world. Then this goes into stalking in the material world. A lot of victims of group stalking are being targeted online. Their phones being messed with, their phones are being hacked into, played with, their Facebook, all this stuff. They're receiving all these strange connections on the internet, and they're saying, "I'm being cyber stalked, I'm being threatened," yada yada. There's even people out there that are so sick and disturbed as to find people who are near suicide and actually telling the person, if you commit suicide, I'll commit suicide too. There's some sick people looking for prey online like that. And these type of things can lead to the material world, to you being stalked, not just on the internet by people, but you can be stalked in person. When you go to the store, there will be people waiting for you at the store, following you in and out of the store. When you go to the intersection, there'll be people passing by you in cars. As they use the color coding a lot, wearing red and black. Sometimes they won't. When it first starts happening to you and you're in the confusion stage of gang stalking, you won't look for colors and all this stuff. You won't even know that stuff's going on because it just started happening to you. You're just noticing strange people following you around. And usually somebody thinks that their life is in danger, that somebody's out to kill them, that something bad's going to happen. Are they safe? Is somebody going to break into my home? Are my family members safe? They have children. Are their children safe? A lot of people feel very threatened by this. They don't understand what's happening. There's some statistics here. National Center for Cyber Stalking Research shows that the majority of people being stalked online are coming from social networking sites. 66%, 30% instant messaging services, 43% webmail, 12% work mail, 28% mobile phone calls, 28% mobile texts, 15% online dating. Okay, so now since June of 2006, after presenting my Beat Gang Stalking courses, I have spoken to well over 50 people over the phone regarding their group stalkers. That is accurate. It's probably close to 60 people now. Within the summer of 2016, when I started presenting my courses in June, I immediately started interviewing all sorts of different people. And, we would record it. I'd put it on YouTube. I would ask them questions. They would ask me questions. It was a learning experience. I was being gang stalked starting in 2015, summer 2015. So I wanted to be involved with other people who were being gang stalked. Not only to help them with my courses that I was coming out with, but they were teaching me. I was learning more about what was all involved in this, what types of things can happen, what types of people are gang stalked. Okay, many of these individuals in the beginning began receiving strange and or threatening emails, text messages, and phone calls. Many of them spoke to me about cell phone hacking and how devastating this was for them. The majority spoke to me very hysterically and emotionally, describing how they feel their personal safety had been taken from them. By July of 2016, after interviewing multiple victims of group stalking, I was in shock. I never personally heard so many different people explaining the same fear and panic concerning one matter. They all did this in such detail. None of them known each other, but all their stories were identical or extremely similar. That's exactly what happened. I went online and discovered that when it comes to gang stalking, there's so many people across the world who are from different age groups, different races, different preferences, politically, religiously. There's no real way to predict who's going to be gang stalked necessarily. This was happening to a vast array of people, but it was so similar. Everybody was saying the exact same stuff. And it was shocking to me because these people were hysterical and they were panicked, or they were extremely discouraged. I've spoken to some people that were very panicked and basically hysterical. They couldn't go to their family members. They couldn't go to the cops. They couldn't go to the government. They couldn't go to counseling services. There was nowhere they could go for assistance. So these people in turn came to YouTube and started messaging people they want help. So I'm on YouTube saying I have courses to help you get through what you're going through called gang stalking. And they're coming to me saying, I saw your videos and I'm interested in what you're saying. Can you help me through this? Some of these people were thinking about suicide. Some of them were greatly disturbed, prone to violence. Some of them were going through family disasters. Relationships between family members was horrible. Some of them were going through economic disaster. They didn't have much money and they were losing their jobs. They were going homeless. This was, my phone turned into a crisis hotline. It still is a crisis hotline. My courses, basically, I'm taking in these are crises that are happening to people. This is a crisis. This isn't, I'm saying this is a crisis going on here. People are being drugged. They're being threatened. People are being ran off the roads. They're having electronic weapons used on them, and they can't go to anybody. So they're coming to me. There's a lot of energy coming in that I was receiving. And so out of all these people, there were as many success stories. There was one man, he doesn't even get gang stalked anymore. Ironically, he was the first man that contacted me. And I described to him to just go up to the people who were gang stalking him and start talking to them and telling them he was being gang stalked and who he was, and he started doing exactly what I said. And ironically, he doesn't get gang stalked anymore. So, in a strange way, when I said be gang stalked, I didn't mean gang stalking was going to stop. But in his case, it did. So I guess he was the ultimate. He really beat it. All right, so yeah, many of them spoke about cell phone hacking, how devastating this was for them. It's something, unless you personally get stalked by a group of people, you'll never know what it's like. The horror the horror of group stalking was too real to turn these people away. All of them telling me they had no one else to go to, nowhere to turn. Before being gang stalked myself, starting in the summer of 2015, I never would have imagined anything like this was possible. I knew their pain, making me even that much more responsible for their well-being. And that's all true. The horror of it was mind-boggling. I've been speaking to people in the last few days. One woman took 120 pills and tried to kill herself. She didn't even know she was being gang stalked. Another woman was being gang stalked. She said she was actually gang raped, and she says she said from her perspective she believed it has something to do with the gang stalking that was happening to her at the time. The stories that come in are insane, and the dangers of not properly educating people, at least educating them to the best of my ability, far outweigh the cons to it. Like, people have to know what's happening if they're being gang stalked, and there has to be something there for them. It's just the risks are too huge for somebody not to know what's going on. And okay, so the horror of group stalking was too real to turn these people away. All of them telling me they had nowhere else to go, nowhere to turn. And so at that point, it became like a heavy responsibility to some degree. And some of these people would call me 24/7. Like a friend of mine, he would be calling me multiple times a day, sometimes 10 times a day. There was another woman who was a client of mine. She had it real bad. And she would be calling me multiple times a day, but after a week, she got into a position to where she got the handle on this stuff, and she wasn't calling me anymore. She was able to figure this stuff out for herself. The situation had gotten a lot better for her. Yeah, and before being gang stalked, I wouldn't have known what it was. If somebody had came to me years ago and told me gang stalking was real and started explaining to me, being the person I am, I would have accepted that something like this can be happening to somebody, but I would have thought the person may be exaggerating. I would have said, are you serious? You're getting followed by this many people 24/7? Cars with lights and people wearing red shirts just because you come around and you're being drugged and stuff? I would have thought the person was perhaps going through something real, but maybe exaggerating a lot of it. And until I experienced it, then I learned it's not exaggeration. It is that bad. That's one of the things I want people to know who are watching people being gang stalked. These people aren't imagining this stuff. This is real. Real. This is no joke. This is real. Now, the way the person interprets it might be a little different. People will come up with stories like, these are aliens secretly behind it, or it's witchcraft, yada yada. You know, people will try to explain things to themselves in order for it to make sense because they don't understand the mechanics of how these people are operating these group stalking networks. That's one of the most difficult things for somebody to get in their mind, is to pay attention to what's going on and really get a feeling for how are these people being recruited? How is it going on? How are so many people involved? That's what changes the interpretation. People will try to come up with different interpretations, but everybody's going through the same stuff, though. Okay, a lot of victims of group stalking referenced first being targeted through social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, Plenty of Fish. Now, I already said that, and that's exactly what's happened, is people have been getting gang stalked through their phones. That's what happened to me. I started getting gang stalked through the technology, and then I started noticing strange people following me, and then it got to the point to where cars were coming at me like they were going to hit me and kill me, like driving towards me like they were when I was walking out. Like it went real bad real quick. And so if somebody doesn't have a handle on themselves being gang stalked, it can really get disturbing for a person. All this stuff is created to cause panic and fear, and it's terror. People are being terrorized. How to recognize gang stalking if it is happening to your wife, husband, father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, friend, etc. An individual being gang stalked by a group of people should be expected to look, act, and sound in distress. You should expect them to come off hysterical and confused. This in no way discounts them from being a victim of gang stalking. Actually, it's a very good sign that they are in fact a victim of group stalking. That's what's happening here. If somebody comes to you and they're saying, I'm being stalked by several people, and they're hysterical, confused, they seem paranoid, incomprehensible, delusional, that is what you're going to expect to see. That's going to let you know that this is real. If somebody was to come in and talk to you very politely and calmly and show no signs of nervousness or panic, telling you they're being stalked and all this stuff, you're going to want to ask them a few more questions. But if they come in and emotionally you can tell right away, this person's been torn apart. What's going on? It's okay to be skeptical, but don't put the priority on is the person's psychological state okay, or have they taken drugs lately? This person, in fact, 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the time, is going to be getting gang stalked. And there's certain questions you're going to have to ask them to figure out what they're experiencing is real. It's not a coincidence that the exact same things they're going to be telling you have been happening to people all over the world, prior to them coming in and currently. So you can go online and go through thousands of people on YouTube, and what they're saying is going to fit the exact same description of all these other people. No matter if the people are in China, America, Europe, they're going to be telling you details you can cross-reference with all these other people. So pay close attention to what they're saying and take notes. This in no way discounts them from being a victim of gang stalking. Actually, is a very good sign that they're a victim of group stalking. They may temporarily lack the explanation or evidence to convince you, and that's okay. Please keep in mind this person has just been traumatized, and while you're speaking with them, remember it's currently still going on. It's currently still going on. So if they're talking to you and they're saying they're being gang stalked and they look paranoid and they're looking around the corner and looking here and there, they're expecting it to be continuing. So it's going to be okay. They're going to be a little bit hysterical, but that's going to be okay. Just try to talk to them and reason with them and get their take on it. Usually they are in fear for their life or have some other deeper fear as to the expectations on the intentions of these group stalkers. Now, gang stalking likes to mimic threats that a person may already feel they have coming towards them. So say somebody has some sort of personal issue with another person or another group. Depending on how well the group stalkers have analyzed this person, they may be presenting the theme of gang stalking to them in a way that's conveying threats that they already may have in their life. So if a person comes to you and they're being gang stalked, there may be something more to it. If they're saying this person's after me and they're going to do this, and they're being gang stalked, but it may not be necessarily the people that are gang stalking. It may not be the people that they think are gang stalking them. So if I have a group of motorcyclists following me around, targeting me, yada yada, it may not be this necessarily this motorcycle club that is doing it. It may just be presented to me in that way. These people may be getting motorcycles and putting on leather jackets and presenting themselves in a certain way that have nothing to do with the motorcycle. I just think it is. That's what they're showing me. This is how deep gang stalking gets. People are using these psychological tactics to really mess with somebody's mind. That's an analogy. I hope that analogy helps. But that's the reality of this stuff. People can take it and try to discredit it and discount it and say it sounds too bizarre or it's not rational, but this is exactly the type of stuff that's happening. So if this is happening to your son or daughter or your husband or wife or brother and sister, how seriously you take these stories is how seriously you're going to be able to help them. So you just trying to brush it aside, this person might go kill themselves. This person may go out and shoot somebody or stab somebody or something. So you looking at it like they're telling a fairy tale or something like that. You really got these group stalkers are really trying to get into the person's psyche and disturb the person. And this is the lengths they're going to do it. This is stalking in this era. This is how it works. The individuals responsible for their stalking are doing this overtly to a degree, just enough to terrify them, but they're doing this in an extremely covert manner. So this is going to get back into technology, but individuals participating in this will be doing it overtly enough so the person knows it's happening. When I first started getting gang stalked, I was trying to show specific people what was happening, and they couldn't see it. I would be saying, look at that car on the corner. Why are they still on the corner? Who is that car? And I would be telling the people, look, I'd be showing people and pointing at the cars and stuff. And people thought I was exaggerating or taking it, saying you're over skeptical or something. I was showing people specifically. Now these were people who were hired to participate in gang stalking. Okay? And they were sitting there and they wanted me to know they were there. They would purposely do things on purpose to reveal themselves to me in this gang stalking strategy in cohesion with other people. And they wanted me to see this and know this, but they were doing it in a way to where they could do it in broad daylight, and other onlookers, if they weren't a part of it, they wouldn't know what was happening. Or if they were part of it, they would only see what they needed to know. They might not know the other orchestrations that are connected to it. A lot of people who are part of gang stalking only need to know enough for their little part. So, me trying to express this and show to people ended up a lot of times being a disaster. And to this day, I've gotten a lot better at showing people, but to this day, there's still things that happen that's difficult for me to convey to people. If they're not, if they're not being gang stalked, their mind doesn't know how to perceive these things because it isn't happening to them. They're not educating themselves on it. Okay, the individuals responsible for the stalking are doing this overtly to a degree, just enough to terrify them, but doing this in an extremely covert manner. So the gang stalking that's going on is using technology. Technology is being used 90% of the time. And an individual can have a smartphone, and on their smartphone, they can predict your whereabouts. This can be connected to GPS technology, where they've hacked your phone, or they're using your GPS on your phone to know where you're at, and they can be stalking you using this. Or there can be drone satellites, satellites and drones, who these people have either hacked into these available spaces within the drones and satellites, or they've purchased time on an active drone or an active satellite, or they work for a company. They may work at a company or know somebody at a company that's using one. Everybody can, Nike uses them. The Chinese use them. I know a guy who uses drone time on a satellite to watch his neighborhood. So a lot of people have this access to this. So if I'm a stalker and I'm gang stalking an individual, what's the ultimate tool? You want to know where they're at all the time, right? Okay, so if I have access to a drone from the sky or some sort of satellite technology, and I can watch an individual in real time, now I can have access to stalking them throughout the day. I can have them watched in real time, so me and a few other people can take turns watching them. So if they don't have a cell phone on them and they go to the store or they go to their friend's house, periodically through their day, we can orchestrate assignments in stalking the person. If they're going to eat somewhere, we may be able to drug them. They're walking down the street. How long will it take them? We can coordinate about how long it'll take them to get from one position to another position. So the whole time I'm walking the street, cars are coming at me like they're going to hit me, right in front of me like they're going to hit me and kill me. I'm coming to intersections, black and red cars going by at times, guys out in the streets walking around wearing red coats and stuff like this. Now this is orchestrated through technology. There's a small group of people who know I'm being gang stalked. They're intimately involved. They're behind the deeper psychological ramifications of it. They're putting the patterns together and using different types of subliminal types of attaching emotional connotations to it. And we'll get into that a little later on. But the gang stalking that's happening, that's repetitive, is being utilized by the people around me through this technology, through these drones and satellites. So when I go into an area, the new area I go into, people are approached. I've seen them get out on cars and drive around on the streets, a team of people, and recruit people before I get there to participate in the gang stalking, to be participatory in street theater. Give them little things to do, little street theaters to do. Give them the different assignments to do, the color coding, yada, yada, yada. All the little things that somebody goes through when they're being gang stalked, because I'm walking to this new area, people in the area are being recruited. Then you have automated Facebook messages where people are being contacted through Facebook and being promised benefits, being told up front. An individual, they're being told, I went over to a woman's house and she was contacted through Facebook, and they told her that she had to watch me because I had some sort of mental condition. She had to wear a red t-shirt and follow me around all night. And then I had to explain to her what gang stalking was. Automated messages, phone calls, text messages. It depends on how bad the person's being gang stalked. So with some people, it's not that serious. They're only gang stalked lightly. Other people are gang stalked at a high rate. For me, it's gone down a lot. But for other people, it's strenuous. And for the individuals participating in the gang stalking, a lot of them don't have a clue in the world what the person who's being gang stalked is going through. So I come into a new area, I just got drugged, I just had electronic weapons used on me, I just had cars coming like they're going to hit me and kill me, I just seen all kinds of street theater and stuff, friends that I know, people that I know have been asked to follow them. So I'm coming into a whole new area, and I've already been drugged through the mud. Now there's a whole new group of people being financed to keep it going. This is what somebody who goes through gang stalking goes through every day. And a lot of people who come online and talk about it, I don't think they're getting across what's really going on. The psychological panic and fear and the attacks. This is a form of attack on somebody's mind. Okay, so some questions you may have: how do they know where you're going all the time? Following you in all these different places, and why? Okay, so I just explained that a little bit. So they're shown, and now a lot of these people are shown. These can be neighborhood watch groups, different sorts of groups that come in through Facebook. There's a whole system out there that manipulate, or they make you appear that this is who they are. It might not really be who they are. We're in an age of internet technology and hacking and different sorts of measures, so somebody may not be who they're presenting themselves to be. That's a factor. But anyhow, there's Facebook, there's Google Map apps that can show people where to go to follow you, as I was describing before. So I can be out walking around, and new people who I've never seen before in my life are participatory in this. This could be somebody who is high up in society, who has a really good job. This could be a homeless person. This could be a drug addict. Or this could be somebody who's been repeatedly stalking me every single day. So I'm coming across a great majority of people, 90% of people, who've never seen me before, who probably don't even know what gang stalking is. The majority of them don't. Who are just playing their little role, which has a great impact on the overall group stalking that is happening. You know, their little role has a big impact because this is happening constantly. But then there's a smaller group of people who are full-time stalkers, who are full-time stalking me every single day, multiple times a day, that know exactly what gang stalking is. So somebody being gang stalked is having a great majority of people participating minutely here and there. A series of adjustments, getting people to participate in this stuff. And then they have people who are full-time stalkers. Now, on a smaller scale, if the gang stalking is not that high, it's very probable that there's individuals out there who are being followed a few times a day by somebody or a group of people in this way, or it can be real high, like traumatic, like every store you go to, everywhere you go. That's going on greatly. Been happening to me for almost 3 years. They can use aerial view to watch their victim in real time, similar to Google Maps delay time. The utilization of this for stalking is a stalker's dream come true. The individual's whereabouts are coordinated on a street level, and the stalkers will use through their smartphone. Most often a device that allows them to know where the individual will be routinely. So there's a lot of people out there participatory in gang stalking. They're not going to know where you're at all times. They're just shown periodically. There'll be a signal sent to their phone, and they'll be shown, hey, it's time for you to stalk this person, and basically that's what's happening. And the person will go out and be shown on Google Maps where your location is. So again, this can be somebody just doing it once, or it can be somebody doing it several times a day, multiple times a day. So this person has technology. They don't even need to be looking. This is way better. Stalkers used to have to work harder. Remember the old movies where the guy would be hanging out outside, smoking the cigarette, watching his ex-girlfriend's house and stuff, and following her and stuff like that. No, they don't got to do that no more. Now they just pick up their smartphone. They get alerts. Hanging out, eating, going to sleep, wake up, bam, start stalking again. It's that easy. Stalking has become really easy for people. And this is going on multiple times a day. So this is, you have no idea what this is like. I wish there was a ticket I could give somebody to feel this one. Periodically or continually, depending on their position of the group stalking. This is done through modified Google Map apps or other map app technologies. This turns into every store. This turns into every store the individual goes to, all the way to every intersection they are being stalked. And they will find out who your friends are and want to recruit your friends to stalk you. They'll find out what type of people you know, and they'll find people to participate in that. So these stalkers will go into your Facebook. They'll look at people you know. They'll go out there and do inventory on you. They'll be asking people behind your back that you've been knowing for years. They'll have people come to them and try to figure out, where you used to live. Who was your best friend in third grade? Do you have any issues with certain people? Do you have what's your favorite music? Different things. It gets that intense. I wish I was exaggerating. I really do. Please note that the majority of the people participating in the gang stalking, which is around 90%, may not know the real intentions or the real purpose behind the group stalking, or of the individual. I recommend that people go look into something called Operation Freakout, which was Scientology stalking that happened to a woman back in the 70s, where their goals was to have the woman put into a mental institution, or have the woman arrested, or do these attacks on the woman to make have nervous breakdown. Whatever they can get her to do. That seems to be the real goal and the real intentions intimately of the people the most involved with the stalking, the small group. So there's a greater barrage of people who are participatory in this, helping the stalking go on day to day to day to day. But then there's a smaller group who want to damage the person's mind. So the greater majority, they're not thinking about it. They're going to follow you a couple times in the day wearing the red shirt or whatever like that. Or they may be following you multiple times a day, every day, and they're a little bit more intimate into the group stalking. But the greater majority of people, they're stalking you. They're helping the group stalking that's happening. They're just not as aware of it. Or if they are, they're not thinking about it. Okay, I'm going to do a couple assignments and whatever. That's on them. I'm going to get my little prepaid credit card. They're being stalked. I don't have to worry about it anymore. That's pretty much it. They may receive automatic Facebook messages, phone calls, text messages, or in some cases, person-to-person interaction to recruit them to participate. I already talked about that. They may be approached and asked to watch this individual for anything from public safety reasons to mental health reasons, to just watch them as part of your work detail. So if somebody is working a job, this can be presented to them as part of their work detail from somebody at work. Or basically, do me this favor. I've seen drug addicts high off of drugs a part of the gang stalking on me. Really high off of drugs. And so I know it was more of a thing where that person wouldn't have been able to take in 2 sentences. They were so high off of drugs, it was basically, hey man, here's $10, go do, that type of thing. Individuals are paid to participate with prepaid credit cards, free phones, car rentals, restaurant discount cards, Home Depot cards, Walmart cards, all the way to cash and drugs. So if I'm in a neighborhood that's a little what you consider the slums, and I'm hanging out, I'm mixed, I'm half black, I'm half white, and so I have relatives, blood relatives, and step relatives in what you would consider to be the ghetto. And so there's a lot of drug use in these areas. A lot of these people have known me for years. So sometimes I enter the area to speak with the people in the area, and sometimes there are individuals who are on drugs. And I can look at them and tell that they just received some drugs. I'm looking at them saying, you got to stand outside for an hour wearing a red coat. What did they give you, a $20 rock or something? Dope, what did you get? A little 10-pack? You got a little fix to do this? I mean, that's not downing the person, but I automatically know by looking at the situation what's going on, because I know the nature of the person and nature of the area. Now, for the people who are living in a neighborhood, neighbors may be given prepaid credit cards, free phones, car rentals, restaurant discount cards, all these things that somebody can go to Home Depot. And this isn't just in a neighborhood. This goes into businesses, offices. Your coworkers can be doing this to you and receiving benefits from a network that's designed. It's brought in as to have some sort of good intention, but it's there to participate in the stalking. And you got to remember, this is going on in a person's life in every sector. Family members are approached, neighbors are approached, coworkers can be approached. Different sorts of people are approached, and different people will play different roles. So this guy, I might not know that well. He might wear a certain color shirt and come stand outside my work when I'm walking to work. But this person may know exactly what gang stalking is and be literally stalking me 24/7 off and on throughout the day for days, weeks, months, years. So the level and the role of the person involved in the stalking is very different. You got to keep that in mind. But when somebody's being gang stalked, a lot of times they're in confusion and they look at all this as being the same. All these being the same people. There's different people playing different roles throughout these course of events. That's why I do what I do, to bring education in. A lot of times I'll stop, talk to these people, wave at them, give them a handshake, explain to them what gang stalking is. I've had numerous people tell me why they were doing what they were doing, what their role was. So, okay. This may be people you may consider to be successful in society, all the way to someone addicted to drugs with no little education, and may be considered, unfortunately, to be a failure in society, even homeless. Now, the type of person I am, I don't really view people like that as being a failure because they're on drugs. Or, some people have different issues and they're challenged in life in different ways. But coming into focus, this could be a doctor, this could be a lawyer, this could be, there's people who receive gang stalking from police. There's people who receive gang stalking from drug dealers. There's people who receive gang stalking from homeless people. That's going on. And so there's all different factions of society who are participatory in this gang stalking. So people need to keep that in mind. That it could be somebody, a lot of people aren't putting this into focus. You're thinking you're being stalked. Who are you being stalked by? The description's open. It can be almost anybody involved with this. And again, it's back to the same thing. The individual, it doesn't matter where the individual, their social life is from. It's the same thing. Just because they're on a higher scale in society, what you consider a higher scale, it doesn't mean they're more intimate in the stalking. So somebody could be a police officer. It doesn't mean that they actually know I'm being gang stalked. It may be explained to them in such a way to where it's accepted and it makes sense. It doesn't mean because the guy's on drugs on the street, he knows I'm being gang stalked and he's stalking me. It may be explained to him in a certain way. Or it may be the reverse. Both of these people may know very well I'm being gang stalked and what they're doing. They may be the ones behind it on either side. Gang stalking, you have to really analyze each person's situation differently as being gang stalked. I'd like to add, you may find some of these individuals at the bottom, considered to be at the bottom of society, to be more honest and open about their participation in these group stalkings. I learned the mechanics of gang stalking from a woman who participated in my stalking. She was not college educated. She drove a van with no license plate. She didn't have a driver. This was crazy. She didn't have a driver's license, and she had no license plate on her car. And we used to drive around everywhere. And she turned out to be a drinker. And a lot of the times she would be drunk and she would be driving around with no driver's license or license plate on the car. And I used to think to myself, this is crazy. I'm being gang stalked all over the city, and there's somebody driving a van with no driver's license and no license plate, drunk, and they're gang stalking me too. I used to sit back and just trip off the stuff that was going on. You can't make it up, the stuff that happens. But she was a good person. She was not college educated. She drove a van with no driver's license plate. She ended up on hard drugs. Now, when I first met her, I didn't know she was on drugs. She might not have actually even been on drugs when I first met her. But later on, I found out this woman was using hard drugs. But she was very moral and courageous at heart, and would even pick me up when I was out walking on foot during the time she was doing the gang stalking assignments on me. Now, this is a trip. This person was involved with gang stalking me. When I first met this person, she explained to me that there were people that were approaching her, talking to me about me behind my back, saying bad things about me, like trying to get her to go along with the stalking. She was getting strange Facebook ads sent to her. Strange phone calls, text messages. She was being targeted to some degree just because we were together. And that was strange. Then she began doing the gang stalking assignments on me. And she would drive around in a car, pass me here and there, and then come and pick me up afterwards and come back over my house, or we would go somewhere else. And she began to explain everything to me. She was explaining little stuff to me, and they would contact her through Facebook, tell her what color clothes to wear. They would give her Walmart cards, PayPal money. They would, the gang stalking network would, they showed her on the little Google map, the smartphone. There would be a little dot on her phone, and even when I was with her in the car, they would show her specific gas stations to pull into. That she would just say, "Oh, well, let's go over." She would look at her phone, and a few seconds later, she'd say, "Let's stop. Let's go over here." The whole time in her mind, she knew where she was going. You know, we were just out driving around. There were, just aimlessly driving around. But she would know in her mind, after they gave her assignments, what gas station to go to. And when she got to the gas station, there would be other people there participating in the group stalking, and there would be an exit entry assignments. So as we pull in her van was red, a black car would pull in at the same time, the black and red color coding. Then somebody would walk out of the store wearing a red shirt. Then 2 minutes later, somebody would walk out of the store wearing a black shirt. All this pre-orchestrated, pre-networked. She was networked to pull into the gas station. Then the same group stalking network had everything worked out at the gas station. And I'm sitting there looking at this like, wow. Like I felt like I just came out of an episode of Star Trek or something. We have no license plate, no driver's license. You're drunk, but you're being told on your phone where to pull into all these different places and stuff, and in broad daylight, and cars coming in black and red and all. I'm like, wow, this is like the outer limits. And that's when my education on gang stalking really began. Before I met her, I didn't know anything about gang stalking. I thought the people who were involved, I was still doing my courses. I didn't meet her till like late August of 2016. But I was still doing my courses. I started my courses in June. I was still doing my courses and stuff, and I was still working on my stuff. But I thought the people who were participatory in the gang stalking were more involved. I thought it was some sort of like real tight-knitted rogue enterprise type group that, you sign these complex contracts and you can do this. I didn't know it was that easy. What, didn't they contact you through Facebook? She was staying there in my house, and when she woke up, they would tell her what color shirt to wear and stuff, and tell her, do this and do that, or go to this store. And so I'm thinking, like, what? It's that simple? Anybody with a smartphone and a Facebook and stuff, and can do this stuff? I didn't. That's what tripped me out. That's when I really started getting educated on what was happening to me. Knowledge is power. This was during a horrible period in my life, and her assistance was invaluable. She shared with me how people were coming to her spreading false stories. I already said this, receiving strange phone calls, text messages. I already said all that stuff. Okay, yeah, she started receiving Walmart cards, PayPal money. I remember I was with her one time, and she pulled out a Walmart card with a bunch of money on it, and I'm like, I know you didn't buy a Walmart card, And so somebody gave her that for the gang stalking assignments. For stalking me, somebody gave her a Walmart card. Isn't that cool? And other rewards for her participation. I saw her receiving instructions through Facebook to participate in the color harassment. I already said that, how they tell her what color clothes to wear. Yada, yada, yada. Isn't that cool? So I'm hanging out with somebody and they're getting little Walmart cards to stalk me. Isn't that interesting? She would be shown a modified Google map with details of where to drive to participate in these gang stalking, so she would periodically drive past me during the day. Okay, so during the day, if I wasn't with this woman, I'd be out walking and she'd be driving past me at certain times. So if I came to a certain intersection, she would drive past me wearing a red shirt. And I really like her. The thing about her is economically she was in a bad situation, and she was literally living on the street, but morally she had a lot going for her. And that's something that I value, that how can this person, man, I'm being gang stalked and I'm in a terrible position in my life. My food's been drugged. I've had electronic weapons happen on me. I've had all kinds of people do all kinds of horrible things to me. But now there's a drug addict who has morals teaching me about gang stalking. Like, go figure, right? And so it's crazy. Stuff's crazy. I still can't believe all this stuff's happened to me. But so I'm being gang stalked, and she's stopping and picking me up. Now she's being shown on her phone where I'm at to do these little assignments on the Google phone, and she's driving past me. Then she's coming back and picking me up, calling me on my phone, saying, where are you at? So throughout the day, she wouldn't be driving her van. 20% of the time she would drive her van and do the assignments. No, it was even less than that. It was like 10% of the time, maybe 5%. She would be driving different cars. She would be either driving the car or somebody would be driving her. But then she would text me back on my phone. That's one thing about gang stalking is the gang stalkers don't really use the same cars. They may use the same car a few times, but usually they use different sorts of cars. And that's for obvious reasons. But, so she would text me on my phone and say, where are you at? I just saw you stalking me. Where do you mean, where am I at? Now, I didn't say that. Sometimes I would. And it would lead into arguments and stuff. So I tried to avoid that. But I said, and so she'd say, okay. She'd say, I'm coming to pick you up. Sometimes, there was a couple times when she would drive past me and then turn around and come pick me up without texting me or calling me. But a lot of times she would text me, and then she would kind of say, it's not like she would say, hey, I just saw you. I just drove past you in this car with this person, or this person's following me, and, now I'm coming back to pick you up. So she would say, where are you? And I'd say, I'm walking down the street. She'd say, I'm coming right now. So she would come and pick me up, and then it was such a relief, man. It was such a relief. I got did so bad by so many people in so many different ways. I've had so many people being disrespectful to me. I mean, the words can't even come out right. People are seeing me on YouTube saying words like disrespectful. Unless you've experienced it, you have no idea in the world what I'm talking about. But the level of harassment, psychological harassment, the attacks, the series of people following you and doing all that stuff, it was so bad, man. It was a relief to see somebody say, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. And I'm going to come pick you up, blah, blah, blah. And so she would come pick me up. We would come back over at my house, or we'd go somewhere else, or we would just hang out for a little bit, and that would be that. And so that was a relief. Now I'm getting involved with somebody who's doing these assignments. Is gang stalking to me. And this was an interesting situation. It was cool. It was educational, but sometimes frustrating, though. And I'll explain as we move on. Okay, so the driving past me in the car with another guy is a thing that the inner core of the people providing the harassment themes are producing. The mass amount of people, the 90% or more, they're not thinking about what woman I'm hanging around and who she's with, and nobody cares. People are just wearing red shirts and hanging out and following Jamil around and all this stuff and doing assignments periodically. People I only see once a day. People may live in my area. People may live across town, other neighborhoods I frequent. They're doing assignments here and there. Okay, so the gang stalking has fluctuated from a thing of me not only being followed by group stalkers and not just being drugged and electronic weapons and having all these things happen to me, it's now turned into a thing to where this person who I've been hanging around every day and I'm showing care and concern for, now they're being approached and used to create some sort of deeper psychological connotation on the average gang stalking that's happening to me. So I'm being followed by all these people wearing all these colored shirts and all that stuff. But now here's somebody who's supposed to be a friend of mine riding past me in a car with different guys. I don't even know who they are, just for a gang stalking assignment. She never. The thing about her is she never really. With her, it was a lot different. She never really. With her, it was just kind of like, okay, I'm with her. She always did it from a distance. Sometimes it was up close, but it was always like a thing. Like, okay, I'll do it real quick, and she would do it, and then she would come talk to me right afterwards, and so she was getting paid for this stuff, and she was on drugs, and so I'm looking at like, yeah, okay, whatever, but. So we're hanging around each other. She's doing assignments on me, but at the same time, it's bothering me. I'm angry about it because I'm being stalked, and it's somebody that I know that I've been hanging around who's participating in it, and all these different guys I don't even know are driving in the car with her, following me. I'm being stalked. I don't want these people following me. I don't know them. Don't want to know them. Have no interest in them. Never will have interest in them. I don't want to be followed by people I don't know. People off the streets on drugs stalking me. I don't know them. I don't want them stalking me. And so she's stalking me because she's participatory in it, but she's gang stalking, but we are supposed to be friends. So this creates a greater dilemma, and it ends up in us going through arguments. She was over here one night, and she was getting instructions through Facebook on different stuff to do while she was in my living room. And it turned into an argument, and I ended up asking her to leave. And I shouldn't have done that, but I did that anyway. Or maybe I should have did it, but it created a lot of confusion. This gang stalking stuff, this is how, I hear a lot of stories about people having to get divorced over this stuff, and I absolutely learned why. Even worse, I had no one immediately to speak to about the matter, and that's true. Who am I going to go to? I mean, I had people on the phone that I was who were being gang stalked too, and I talked to a lot of them about it. But who am I going to go to? Who am I going to go to and say, listen, I'm being stalked 24/7 by a bunch of people wearing red and black, and now they have a friend of mine doing it, and she's riding past me in the car with different guys, and she's using... she's on the Google phone in every corner. You know what I mean? It's not like people, you know what I'm saying? So I'm alone in this. My friends and family don't understand. This was an extremely frustrating era of my life. These were not once-a-day events, but several times a day, all day. So again, no matter where I go, I can get up at 3 in the morning and just take off walking 30 miles. And she would be doing it, and other people, there's other people. Mind you, my friend is stalking me, but there's other people throughout the day repeatedly stalking me as well. Then there's an overall array of people who I don't even know participatory in this. So the hell of the... Man, I wish I can give somebody a ticket for this one. But I would get up and walk miles while I'm being drugged, while there's electronic weapons, while cars are coming at me like they're going to hit me and kill me. I can't walk in a store without an entry, exit at the same time, and people coming out the back with red shirts and blue shirts and green, all this stuff like a big clown festival every day. And so I'm walking miles trying to get away from this, and now it's following me. I want to be left alone. I'm being stalked. And it's following me. I get up at 3 in the morning and walk 30 miles, and these same individuals are getting assignments on their phone to come and stalk me. I can't get away from it. I'm being stalked. These were not once-a-day events, but several times a day, all day. What made it even worse, the group stalking network would use other women and objects to mimic this scenario back to me on a constant daily basis. Boy, if you thought that was something, wait till you hear this one. So my friend is participatory in gang stalking me, and we're hanging out every day. We're a little bit intimate, we're friends and stuff. So she's participatory in this, and they got a thing where they want other guys to ride in the car with her, or a guy behind her, or a guy, she following a guy and all this stuff 24/7, over and over. Then the gang stalking network is hiring people that look similar to her when she is not available to play the role. So they will, she was skinny and had red hair. So they will find a skinny girl with red hair that fits her description to be walking around the mall with some guy while I'm at the mall. So they will pick people that look similar to fit the description. They will approach people through the Facebooking networks, or they will have the people go out and finance them by hand that appear similar to the person. That's how deep this gang stalking stuff is. There's a deeper psychological connotation that can be attached to the group stalking. So it's not just people following you off and on. They will get people that look like a friend of yours. They will get people that may look like your mother and father. Say your father passed away, they may find somebody that looks like your father to participate in this, to add extra stuff. This is how this is how deep, this is how crazy and sick this stuff is. I wish, boy, I wish there was a ticket on this one. These were not once-a-day events, but several times a day. What made it worse? The group stalking network would use other women and people and objects to mimic this scenario back to me on a constant daily basis, further adding to the frustration. Right, 90% of the people participating in the group stalking who were not involved intimately in the know of what was going on would be selected based on their appearance and given details as to add to their participation into this formula that was intimately attacking my private and emotional life via the gang stalking orchestrations. Okay, so I want to make a stop right here for a second. When I first started coming out of my courses back in June, the following month in July of 2016, there was a woman that contacted me on email. She told me that she was a gang stalker. She told me that she had been approached at a shopping center and given $100 to participate in the gang stalking. She was told to follow a certain man with her brights on, following him in broad daylight, and she was to change her hair color periodically and wear different color clothes and follow him. Same types of thing that was happening to me. She said after they approached her in person and gave her $100, they would contact her through a 1-800 Stop Smoking advertisement, and that was her cue to where they were going to give her information so she can commence the stalking and keep playing the role. She contacted me saying that she started Googling the stuff that she was doing, and she discovered it was gang stalking, and she watched one of my videos on YouTube, and she decided that she didn't want to do it anymore. Right? But she didn't want to come see me. She said she didn't have the funding to travel. She was out of state to travel here. And she said that she didn't want to talk over the phone about it because she feels if she would have called me and told me what was happening and how it was happening, that she would be gang stalked. She said she knows they're listening to everything she's doing. Okay? So, individuals who are out walking the streets who fit the description of my friend could have been approached easily and asked to play these roles. Or they're given instructions through Facebook, through the automatic messaging and stuff like that. There's a small team of people that are intimately involved in profiling the person that they're stalking and using emotional attachments that they have against them. So this is how this stuff works. This is what's happening. So it's a horror show. It's a horror show. It's a horror show. I don't need to be stalked another day again, and I'll never get out of this. For the rest of my life. If I live to be 150, I'll be talking about the rest of my life because of what's already happened. I've been psychologically damaged because of this stuff, and I'm pissed. And I'm trying to educate people on what gang stalking is so they know. If somebody comes to you and they're being gang stalked, please take them seriously. Please. Okay, when I pulled up to the stop sign, they would attempt to use my friend to drive through the intersection with another guy in the car following another guy, or another guy following her, or they would hire, again, someone with a similar look as my friend. Play the role. I already said all that. This was me being stalked 24/7 repeatedly being bombarded with this, on top of all the other group stalkings that was simultaneously going on around me. So to give a more broader picture, this was a drop in the bucket. About 10% of the stalking that was happening to me emotionally, it could feel like 90% based on the repetitiveness of it. The repeated stalking that occurred by the same numerous times every day. Still going on. Still being stalked today. Not by her, but I'm still. Maybe she. I don't know. Maybe she is out there. So the gang stalking that's happening to me, I'm being gang stalked by different sorts of people. The brightening tactics, the color coding stuff, what you call color harassment, the mimicking, the street theater, the noise campaigns, people purposely doing stuff on purpose. I remember when I was hanging out with my friend, they would have a woman, even when I was with her in the car, we would go to the park and they would find women that looked like her to be following us. Or they would have a woman that looked like her in a U-Haul truck. Like the gang stalking network is trying to symbolically tell me that my friend's moving away or something. Like I'm like, what's going on here? Why are these people doing that? Like what's happening? You know what I'm saying? Like oh my, like God, I can't even go. I mean, what's up? I can't go. Even when I'm not with her, they're offering her prepaid credit cards to stalk me and participate in the overall group stalking network's harassment campaign against me. Then when I am with her, they got people who look like her driving U-Haul trucks. Like I'm like, is she moving? Like what's the gang stalking program trying to pay her to move away? Like what's going on? Like it's a horror show. Like this stuff is. But when you have an emotional attachment to somebody, it makes it even worse. So I'm being stalked 24/7. I can't trust anybody, and I've been drugged, electronic weapons. I've been stalked all over the place. I find a friend who has a car. I like my friend. We're getting along well. She's picking me up. This is a relief for me to have somebody in my life I can depend on. And now not only is she gang stalking me and gang stalking me with other people and stuff, but now even when I am with her, they're using all kinds of crazy themes to make it think like she, I'm like, I mean, my God. Like, what? Is somebody trying to put me under mind control or something? Like, what's going on here? Like, this is 24/7 gang stalking. I'm being gang stalked every single day. I'm being stalked. And so, the repeated stalking that occurred by the same people numerous times every day. Prior to me meeting her, I had no real insight into the simplicity of what participation in group stalking was like. I, prior to this, was convinced individuals were involved in complex contracts with rogue criminal groups. I inwardly laughed when I saw how easy it was. I said that earlier. But, so a lot of people, now I used to be on YouTube a lot presenting my courses, and a lot of people have seen me on YouTube frustrated and angry and swearing and yelling and doing strange things. This was a byproduct of everything I was going through. This was a byproduct directly of everything I was going through. I want so badly, somebody to be skeptical and say, well, it's not that bad. I wouldn't do that. Or it can't be that bad, or I don't believe it's happening. I wish there was somebody out there who could say that, who I could give them a ticket to this stuff for. I wish. They'd probably be dead. They'd probably go jump off a building somewhere. Or end up doing something. I wish I could do that. I wish I had the ability to put the gang stalking network on somebody only to show them educationally what it was like. I wish I had that ability. The level of panic and insecurity that people around the world are experiencing from this is tremendous. This sort of stalking promotes extreme emotional attention. When it first begins, it can create panic and fear that very often translates into for many as terror. I came across a Vietnam vet recently. We both looked each other in the eye and immediately recognized the trauma that this man experienced. To me, the gang stalking is like, when I see those movies, and I can't relate a film to it, it's like a Vietnam tour that's never ended, psychologically. Because when you're being gang stalked, you're constantly being stalked 24/7 by multiple people. And sometimes I'll just be sitting there and somebody will come doing something and I'll be like, oh, it's the 10,000 person today that's stalking. And, since I've been getting stalked, it's the 100,000 person participating in it. And then it makes me think of everything that's happened. It's like a trigger. Sometimes you get triggered over everything that's happened. You think of everything that's happened to you, and it puts off a trigger. I've had all kinds of stuff happen to me that people don't even, there's all kinds of stuff. And so it's like it triggers off everything that's already happened to you. So I'm thinking like, oh, all those cars that were coming to hit me and kill me, all those times I've been drugged, all the times the electronical weapons happened, every time I've gone through an intersection and been followed, every single time I got put in a psychiatric institution, I've had people ridicule me and character assassination, slander my name. Everything comes back up. Everything comes back up. And when I look at one of those Vietnam vets have a flashback, it reminds me of the same thing. All these things that all these people have done to me over the years, every single thing these people have done, it starts to all come back up. And that's what happens to people who get gang stalked for a long time. It's not just a little assignment. This has happened to me every second of my life, every single day for almost 3 years. People don't know that I'm picking up this bottle and busting over somebody's head. That would be nothing compared to what's happened to me. That would be nothing compared to what's happened to me. And I walk around every day trying to educate people and teach people about what's happening so it doesn't have to happen to somebody else. I wish there was a ticket I could give somebody to show them what it's like. It's not funny. If you think it's funny, you're sick. There's people out there in trouble. There's people killing themselves over this stuff. The details of what they are asked to do will fit in with the overall group stalking themes. It will be incorporated into such themes as the color harassment, saying watch this individual and follow them with a red shirt, or drive behind them or past them with your brights on. What is a gang stalking tactic known as? Man, this... I forgot where I was at. Okay. The 10% are the real stalkers. The 10% are the real stalkers, the individuals who know firsthand what they are doing to the individual and are enjoying it. This is where the covert drugging and electronic weapons are coming from. So my friend, the woman who's picking me up every day, she's not behind me being covertly drugged. She's not behind the electronic weapons. She's gang stalking me every day, and she knows I'm being gang stalked, so she's somewhere in the 10% because she's so intimate with it. But she has nothing to do with the overall planning of this stuff. I'm sure they come to her and tell her little stuff to do and try to get her going when I'm not around sometimes, but overall, her role is insignificant. She was just looked at as a toy to the people who were orchestrating the stalkings. But to the people who are more intimately involved in the group stalking, they're planning these orchestrations. It's a big thing for them. The people sit down and plan how they're going to stalk somebody, and they create all these little themes. And why don't we use this person and put this together and do that? They have little meetings and stuff like that. I don't know. I've never been to one, but I'm just saying that's what's going on here. This is where the covert drugging. Okay, the group stalking routines are designed to severely damage an individual's mind, placing fear and panic. And you got to keep in mind, financial benefits are coming into this. People are benefiting financially from this. So of course, there's planning and orchestration. There's money exchanging hands. Commerce is operating. Anytime commerce is operating, there's gonna be planning involved. So this is, you know what I mean? This is a real thing. I'm a high school dropout, but there's people I'm sure with college degrees planning this stuff for one person. So you know, the group stalking routines are designed to severely damage an individual's mind, placing fear and panic into the psyche. The 10% are designing these group stalking themes, and the greater majority of the people involved are just blanketing it all. Still, to the individual being gang stalked, what's the difference? Nervous breakdowns, social disasters, economic disasters, suicide, violent outlashings are daily becoming the end result of these group stalkings. It's bad. Take, for instance, Myron May, attorney. Now, this man was an attorney. And he was practicing law, and he was being gang stalked, and he went out with a gun and randomly started shooting people. I couldn't even entertain the thought of it being mental illness. You know, for him to become an attorney, that man had dedication and diligence and experience. He took time out of his life to go to law school and become an attorney. He wasn't a weak person; he was a strong person. He was hardworking, right? But still, he got gang stalked and had a breakdown and went to a college and started shooting people. And the cops showed up and shot him 24 times and killed him. After he had already been on YouTube repeatedly telling people he was being gang stalked. No help was there for him. Is that serious? You know, so if you plan on your son or daughter becoming a lawyer, you might want to fill them out on something called gang stalking. Why is this happening? Traditionally, it used to be primarily that an individual had to be a whistleblower or expose a cover-up of some sort. A lot of people take gang stalking back to things like what the Stasi were doing or COINTELPRO or whatever, but gang stalking is something different. Gang stalking isn't any of those things, although gang stalking may utilize some of those tactics. Gang stalking is, I think, far more treacherous. When you're talking about the corporate world and rivalry, you know, it used to be somebody would get somebody in a photograph cheating on their wife and show everybody, or get the person to look like they were a homosexual and show everybody, or get the person to look like, you know, I'm going to reveal you're on drugs and ruin their reputation and get them thrown out of office. Those were the typical things that groups like that did back then. Gang stalking is there to shatter the person's mind 24/7. And I've never seen anything like it. Now, I was a hardcore conspiracy researcher for many years. I studied the 60s and 70s fluently. And everything from the American CIA to the KGB. And I've never seen anything like gang stalking. Not a day in my life. It's quite amazing. Because there used to be a time where they would train people intimately. You could take a deep cover CIA agent who could speak 6 languages, and you can drop them off anywhere in the world, and they would go out and recruit 20 other people, take care of an operation. That'll be that. Now somebody off the streets with a smartphone who doesn't even really need to learn how to write, can be on drugs, can be stalking people, looking at the little dot on the Google Map phone. Homeless people in alleys can be used for $10 for a red coat. Put on this red shirt. Here's $10. Gang stalking is way worse than that stuff. It's going on 24/7. They got it together, man. Who's ever running these gang stalking operations, they really got it together. They perfected whatever you hear people were doing, 50 years ago or in the 60s. They're way past that. They got it all the way together now. Why is this happening? Traditionally, it used to be primarily that an individual had to be a whistleblower or expose a cover-up of some sort. This would be as simple as someone encouraging people to band together and save a particular area of the rainforest. So I've heard stories of people coming together and exposing, let's save the rainforest. This corporation is going to knock down so much forest, and this person gets people together. They put up an uproar, and it creates havoc for the company. So maybe somebody who isn't, who's morally challenged or something may finance something like this to happen to them if they're a threat to their investment. Stuff like that, used to go on. You could, there's a lot of cover-ups and things that have happened out there over the years. There's a lot of stuff that if you come on the internet talking, you may be lucky to get gang stalked. So now things have changed, and now technology is involved. Stalking network can be put together overnight. So your son or daughter or husband or wife or brother or sister can be minding their own business online, and a predator can come along and start looking at their Facebook and watching them from a distance, analyzing them, and start stalking them. They don't have to be exposing anything. They don't have to be doing none of that. I've talked to people, the majority of them don't even know anything about whistleblowing or anything like that. They're just getting gang stalked. And so there is no real reason. Now, back in 1960 something, when you heard about things like this happening politically around the world to people who were outspoken, yeah. Back then it used to happen to people who were politically outspoken, all this stuff. Now it's happening to people who aren't, just for having a Facebook account or just for, you know what I'm saying? You don't even need a reason anymore. So people are being bullied. People are being bullied and being stalked. Now things have changed. Now that technology is involved, gang stalking network can be put together overnight. Again, this stuff can be, with technology involved in coordinating a strategy, it can happen to anybody. It's not hard to do. And if somebody doesn't have the education necessary to know what they're dealing with, they're going to be lost. The confusion, distraction, and sensitization, that's the 3 stages of gang stalking. Confusion, distraction, and sensitization. The confusion stage can last days, weeks, months, or years. Now the process is much shorter than what it used to be. Somebody can go online and start typing in what's happening to them. They'll find a whole array of other people who are being gang stalked. They may come across some of my material. I can't count how many times somebody said, "Oh my God, I saw your video and it's wonderful. I feel so much better. I'm relieved. Can I talk to you?" 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that was impossible for me to reach so many people like that. It just wouldn't have been going down like that. Now people from different parts of the world. I had somebody contact me from the jungles of Africa that told me that they had to leave the jungle and go 30 miles to a village where there was an internet access and figure out they were being gang stalked. I made a joke. I said, "You're not being you're not getting street theater, you're getting swamp theater. You're in the jungles of Africa getting gang stalked. It's really getting bad out there." So individuals need no education or training. They simply follow a dot on their phone, stalk someone. People increasingly around the planet in greater numbers, more than ever, are being gang stalked with no apparent explanation. There's a lot of people in the professional field who've been gang stalked out of work. So if you're going through college and you want to be in a good position in your corporation that you're going to, or you want to be a successful business owner, you should know what gang stalking is. Somebody might consider you a rival or just not like the way you put your tie on that day, and you'll be getting gang stalked. If you don't know what it is, you better find out. You better call me up and figure it out. Yeah. I have noticed a trend. Most of the individuals I have interviewed tend to be outspoken, artistic, free thinkers looking for truth, or have greater insight into world events beyond the general consensus. This makes them stand out to predators. Now, in America, People used to ask. People really used to do some serious questioning, man. And now people are saying, now there's more information out than ever. On the History Channel, you're hearing about alternative perspectives, alternative points of views, and whatnot. Let me repeat it. People who are coming out and voicing their opinions and stating how they feel, political views, religious views, alternative views, if they're free thinkers and artistic, they're being attacked in different sorts of ways. Me, myself, again, I'm a high school dropout. I have no formal education. I don't even like new books. I go and get old books. I go and order, I lost all of my books, and I need some new books. But I used to order old books from Harvard from the 1920s and 30s, Cornell, Radcliffe, Yale, Princeton. I used to order really old textbooks and old dictionaries and stuff, and I basically educated myself and looked at, got old world maps and stuff like that, and began studying. And so I put myself in my own awareness and reasonings and stuff, my own education. But there's people out there who are the same way, and they're being gang stalked, and I think it's because their mindset is open to the way the world works. And that goes back into a sense of bullying. Like in the classroom, you notice if people don't fit in, they get picked on, right? If you can think about when you were going through elementary school, if somebody was just different, a lot of times they could be picked on just for being different. There's a lot of people who get picked on for being just different. And so that comes in with group stalking. If somebody's different, they think differently, and they're asking questions, and they know things, and they can make sense out of things. I say, I'm not an intellectual, but I'm an abstract intellectual. I'll figure it out no matter what. Those tend to be the people that get targeted the most. People who it's hard for me to explain, but free thinkers, people are artistic, people are open, they tend to get bullied by this stuff the most. So I think that's why parents have to stand up on this one. And if you have a son or daughter who are on Facebook and they're voicing their opinion about how they feel about events in the world, you got to want to watch out for them and let them know that there may be individuals out there within their own age group. At the schools, children are gang stalking each other in college. Fresh out of high school and college, people are getting gang stalked at the school. So you might want to tell them, if they're getting to that point to where they're going to be out in the world by themselves, listen, there is something, there's bullies out there, and there's people who utilize group stalking. And if it happens to you, it's going to be overwhelming. And, don't try to scare them, but try to explain this stuff to them in a different way, because it can happen to them one day. It can happen to them, and they might end up killing themselves or having a nervous breakdown. Nothing's going to be able to prepare them for this until it happens to this. So if you don't know what gang stalking is and you have no education on it, get some foundation on it. You only got to know a few things. You don't got to know everything. You only need to know a few things. Build a small vocabulary of what street theater is, what mimicking is, what brightening is. Build a small vocabulary and put that in their mind and make them aware of it, that something like this can happen. Trust me, it'll pay off. All knowledge is power, and it'll pay off. All knowledge ultimately means self-knowledge. You're better off teaching somebody about gang stalking than about basketball or something. You'd be surprised. When somebody needs knowledge on it, they really need it. Anybody can fix a flat tire. But if you're teaching them about gang stalking, that's a big thing, because there's not always going to be somebody out there who can explain it to them, not in that much detail. How long does it last, and how bad really is it? I've seen this last as short as a 1 day, all the way to the remainder of somebody's life. It's a question of funding and interest. It takes time and energy to stalk people. It takes gas to follow them around. If they're paying somebody's friend for information or to do something to them, all this takes time and planning. And I guess it really depends on how sophisticated it is, because a lot of people are going to be saying, well, wait a minute, you're talking about me being cyber stalked or somebody I know being cyber stalked and that turning into a group of people following us, and now you're saying that funding has to do with this? What's going on? Gang stalking can be a personal obsession amongst a small majority of people, but keep in mind, it's a little, let's be realistic. It goes a little bit deeper than that. This stuff is being financed and funded. And there's people out there who may be manipulating funds already available, and they didn't necessarily work for the money. Somebody may be paying them to do it. You never know. There's cults out there. There's cults. There's sick people out there that you got to be aware of. And so if funding is not available, this type of stuff cannot go on. So, if I don't got the money to pay all these people to run around and do this, and I don't got time to sit there and listen to people's phone calls and all this stuff, then we're not going to get it done. So funding is there. So there's some, and my gang, don't feel sorry for me. My gang stalkings went down a lot. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of my gang stalkings went down a lot. And so somebody out there could, take me off the list. Somebody could say, we're at this point in time, whoever the people are, they could say we're gonna go ahead and not no more electronic weapons on Jamil, no more drugging Jamil, no more cars coming to hit Jamil, no more color coding, no more mimicking. Now they've calmed down on a lot of that stuff, but the damage has been done. The damage has already been. I'm trying. It's over. What I've gone through, there's no going back on that. There's no going back on that. I don't care how many beers I drink. There's no going back on that. It's been done. I'm traumatized for life. And I'm not confused. I know what happened. And I'm traumatized for life because of it. Even if the gang stalking stopped now, it's like it's still going on. It's like it's still going on every day. And it is going on. But if it stopped right now, 20 years from now, I'd be walking around feeling like it was still going on. I would be walking around feeling like it was still going on 20 years from now, even if it wasn't going on. That's what it feels like. It's like a Vietnam tour that never ends. And that's exactly what they wanted, and that's what they got. Because 150 years from now, if I'm still here, it'll still be going on. That's exactly what they wanted, and that's what they bought. For the rest of my life, my mind has been traumatized. It's a question of funding. It takes gas to drive cars. It takes money to pay people off. If there is no funding, there is no gang stalking. If you're speaking to someone being gang stalked, from what you can perceive happening, it's 50 times to 100 times worse without exaggeration. There's been so many times I've gotten frustrated and angry trying to explain to people what's been happening to me. I'm being stalked. It's been happening for a long time. My food's been drugged. I've had electronic weapons happen to me. All these people participating in this overall orchestration to a varying degree. Don't feel sorry for me. Just listen to me. That's all I want. Just listen to what I'm saying. I'm trying to communicate to you what's happened to me. You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to explain to you what's happened to me. I'm not making it up. Why would I make something up like that? And so it's 50 to 100 times worse. If you have not gone through this, you don't know what it's like. Do not think you have the right to imagine in your mind what you say, it can't be that bad, or this person, blah, blah, blah. If you have not gone through it, you don't know what it's like. So again, if you have a friend or a family member or whoever they are to you, and they come to you, trust me, it's worse than you can imagine. And psychiatric help isn't going to help it. No drugs are going to help anybody. You can't drug this out. You can't counsel this. You have to accept it for what it is and get to, if you cannot understand all of it, at least get a small picture of some of it. You'll be doing a big service. I'm walking down the street. Somebody gets approached and asked to walk by me in a certain color shirt. It's been sent through their phone, through Facebook app. The details have been given to them by their boss. Somebody's done this to them. This is happening constantly. There's a whole lot of other horrible things going on. If you can get small pieces of this, it will help you to identify something on a much larger scale. I wish I can give somebody a ticket to go through my experience. People see me on YouTube. People don't actually know the things that have happened to me. I'm not talking to, there's a lot of people, I wish I could give somebody a ticket to show them. I wish. I always tell people, if you want to know what gang stalking is, let me chain you to the back of the truck and drive you down the alley for over 2.5 years. And people in the alley can kick you and yell at you and stuff while you're being dragged. Better yet, we'll drop you off in the middle of the jungle or something with all those, give you some water and a little bit of food and stuff, and you got to make it out of there. If you're speaking to someone being gang stalked from what you can perceive happening, yes. If you have never been gang stalked, you will never have a clue what it's like. Electronic weapons are often used on individuals while they are merely relaxed within their own home. When they go out to eat their food, it's drugged at times. Simply getting up and going to get a glass of water will be strategically timed and used when the individual does this. A noise campaign may commence. A car on standby may play loud music. So I go out into the world and I'm being stalked everywhere and I'm being drugged and I'm coming home from all this and I go to sleep trying to get some peace. And I wake up at 3 in the morning and go get a glass of water. Now somebody may drive down the street playing a loud car stereo. People are on standby purposely to participate in noise campaigns against me after I've been drugged and stalked all day. And now people are coming by with loud stereos and stuff like this. And people slamming their car doors outside their driveways when I wake up in the morning and do different things. People purposely doing this stuff. In my mind, it feels like if somebody was in the car who had been doing, I just wish I could just take the door, not hitting them, just let them sit in the car and be safe, and just sit there and slam their door as hard as I can about 50 times on their face. That's what it feels like after almost 3 years of going through it. Not hurting them, just let them hang out in the car, in the back seat, and just sit there and repeatedly slam the door as hard as you can on them. That's how it feels. After almost 3 years of having people play loud music when you get up to go get water, and when you wake up, people strategically time these noise campaigns to slam doors and do all this stuff. This is the reality of it, of gang stalking. If somebody's telling you this stuff, they're not misleading you. Trust me, I know. I've been living through it for almost 3 years. Please listen to them. They're telling you the truth. They need your help. The individual is completely aware of what is happening and will often be subjected to ridicule if they share their story. being accused of being paranoid or delusional. That happens a lot. Fortunately, we're in this new era that we're in, and it's becoming much more challenging for people to be passed off as paranoid and delusional. That's starting to fade out the door. But it still goes on to some degree. So education comes in. The worst thing you can do to somebody is tell them that they're paranoid and delusional. And tell them everything that's been done to them is not real. That's about the worst thing. You might as well, it'd be better for you just to participate in it and not say it than to tell them. That's like me walking up to somebody and hitting them, whacking them across the head as hard as I can with something, and then when they go into the hospital, and it's not real. You're delusional. That's the same thing. That's the same exact thing. It just looks, the people do it covertly. So they're hiding behind that. Paranoid, delusional, they're trying to paint an image. It's called an ad hominem attack. We can't attack the message, so let's attack the person and discredit them. Then we can discredit what we've done to them. That's what that means. The abuse and harassment never seems to end. This is extremely disturbing for the individual that is going through this. It's a 24/7 harassment campaign. Exactly what it is. What can you do about it? Listen to the person, and if you are a part of it, stop immediately. I once received an email from a woman. She was approached. I already told that story. Don't need to go into it again. That was the story about the woman at the shopping mall and the smoking advertisement. But no need to go into it again. I will add that after speaking to her, I thought how sad for her the money can't be that good to stalk someone, knowing what you're doing is wrong, and you cannot speak openly about it for fear of you being stalked. Unfortunately, that's where her mindset was at, and it reflected the fear campaign that has pumped into individuals participating in this. This has to end. Any participation in the stalking of an individual directly is supporting the overall harm and harassment that is done to that person. There is no middle ground. So if I'm participating in stalking somebody, doing gang stalking, not only am I assisting the overall harassment and stalking that this person's been going through, but I'm supporting a future environment for this to happen to other people. So there's people being born right now, are people going through school, or people, wherever they're at, who are going to be gang stalked. And by me supporting that gang stalking, I'm supporting the environment for it to happen. That would be like me taking a drug and selling it to your son or daughter. Yeah, I might not have sold them all the rest of the drugs they took, but I'm participatory in their overall drug use. In a way, I'm responsible for what happens to them. If they go out and take that one more after I give them a drug and die, I'm responsible for that because I participated in their usage. Okay? I never sold drugs, but that's my take on drugs. If you sell somebody a drug, you're responsible for that person's destruction. Okay? So if I'm dealing in harassment and stalking, I'm responsible for that overall person's makeup. What happens to them? How this plays an effect in their role of life. This is happening to them by multiple people every day. Not to mention, I'm allowing the network that's doing it to thrive. Who are they going to do this to next? Is the next person going to kill themselves? So gang stalking is a personal responsibility thing. You can't say, it's not my problem. Yeah, it is. You don't have to do it. It doesn't matter who's behind it or who's involved. It doesn't matter. The person on the street that gets asked to participate in it is the most powerful person because they're directly doing it. It's not the guy that you never see who has the most power. It's you, the person who is agreeing to do it. So by participating in this, you're allowing this thing to thrive. This country has some of the greatest universities in the world: Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Cornell, Radcliffe, Stanford, Morehouse, Howard. Why is there no education on the subject? I don't know. I'd like to see that come into fruition. I offer free education on gang stalking, and I have courses available for people who go through it. But I would like there to be more. I would like to see more people out there. I would like to think it doesn't end with a high school dropout. I would like to think that somewhere there's a teacher or a professor or somebody wanting to create something for people getting gang stalked. I hope it's not. I hope the buck doesn't end here, because there's very little I can do for the overall multitudes of people. I just do what I can for the few people who contact me. Mind you, I'm still being gang stalked as I'm doing what I'm doing. So education has to come into fruition, even if it's a community educational group, community education. So it doesn't have to be anybody with a teaching degree. This can be a hobby type thing. A few people can get together, and they don't even have to be getting gang stalked. It could just be like Alcoholics Anonymous. If I have a drinking problem, there may be people available who I can go to and address my drinking problem and get counseling and get help. If I have a drug problem, there may be people I can go to get help. If I'm sick, if I have a disease, I can go to a doctor and get a remedy, or at least try to get a remedy. There has to be something available for these people. They're psychologically traumatized. They're spiritually traumatized. They want some sort of help, and just talking to them is enough. You don't have to have immediate answers. Thankfully, the news is starting to responsibly cover some of this. You have to put fear aside and do what you think is right. That's a quote from the late the late Congressman Leo Ryan, my favorite politician. Congressman Leo Ryan did a multitude of wonderful things during the Watts riots. He went and lived with a black family in Watts during the riots, which it was extremely dangerous. He presented himself as a teacher, and he taught at the schools. For a white man at that time in the 60s to go live in Watts with a black family in a black neighborhood while there was riots and looting and stuff, and teach at a black school, that was pretty heroic. I mean, that was pretty big of him to do that. He went and checked himself into the penitentiary in Folsom to check on the conditions, and stayed there for like a week. Congressman Leo Ryan was advocating for people to stop hunting seals, or was it whales, or walruses, or something like that, I think in the North Atlantic. That was a big thing. In the country of Guyana, Congressman Leo Ryan went down there and looked to rescue people from a religious congregation that had got out of hand. A religious group in Guyana had gotten out of hand. And there allegedly multiple people committed suicide through drinking poison Kool-Aid. But Congressman Leo Ryan lost his life going down there, and so he put fear aside to do what he thought was right. So amazing American hero. Doing what you think is right, regardless of the outcome, is a big thing. A big thing. Congressman Leo Ryan. Okay, I have found many people who attend church services regularly to be participatory in these group stalkings. If they were reading their Bible and believed in it, they would not be participating in the group stalking of an individual. They would be shunning it. You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with a wicked man to be a malicious witness. You shall not fall in with the many who do evil. Nor shall you bear witness in a lawsuit, siding with the many so as to pervert justice. You shall be partial in a poor man's lawsuit. Exodus 23, 1 and 2. People will make mistakes, and that is okay. Participation in gang stalking is by no means a mistake. Individuals are literally planning on a day-to-day basis the destruction of someone's life. I've had people who've made mistakes towards me, and I forgive them. I've had people who've tried to do things to me in the past, and I forgive them. I just saw I have a few people who I've got into it, on multiple arguments and stuff. Also all other sorts of stuff, and I allow people to make mistakes. I don't think that's I don't ever look at that as saying, oh, F this person, I'm gonna get even with that. All right, you can make a mistake. And so sometimes we come back and we talk about it, and we agree that even if we don't have the same point of view, we may agree to disagree. And say, we're both 30-something, I'm 32 years old, we're both in the age range where we can be adults, and even if I don't agree with your point of view, we can agree to disagree, and we can move on, and we can handle this as intelligent people. That can be something arranged, right? So you acknowledge that somebody's harmed you, and you're giving them forgiveness for what they've done. You're not going to hold this against them to whatever degree. You will know them by their fruits. Be aware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. So, if I'm doing these things, if you're coming around me and I'm cursing at you and bringing bad into your life, when I come around, I'm doing these things to you that are bad. You know who I am based on my actions. Especially if you try to seek an alternative solution, and I continue. You know what I'm about. The bad things are going to come around when I come around. Well, that's what comes with the fruits. If somebody's coming to me and bad things are coming to them, I know who they are based on their actions. They can go to church every Sunday. I don't care. They can be in church every day. I don't care. I know them from who they are, not the interpretation they give out. Trying to hide behind, I'm not even religious, but they're trying to hide behind the word of the Bible. trying to use the word to shield their devilish deeds. See? That's how the real devil comes in. And I'm not even religious. But I do know that I don't even trip when somebody wears all black clothing and they got pentagrams and say they're Satanists and stuff, and I'm not worried about them. No, the real devil doesn't operate that way. They're just being honest about how they feel, and I respect that. The people that are the real devil are the people who approach you as being these wonderful people and kind people, or putting on an act like they are, and behind it they're doing devilish deeds. That's the real devil. That's how the real devil operates. And ye shall know the truth, and truth shall make you free. Okay? That's another one we're going to look at. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So, gang stalking. Now, if you are considering yourself to be an honest, intelligent adult, and you want to be resourceful and respectful, and as an adult, you want to be a leader, at least to your family or your friends, if not in your community, you're going to want to be in the truth. And if you go and you study gang stalking, and you take an honest look at it, not a pseudo-skeptical look, not a, there's no saying, none are so blind as those who choose not to see. So don't choose not to see. Be open to the truth. And look into it. If you walk away saying that you don't believe gang stalking exists, I will still have respect for the person, but I doubt that most honest, intelligent, when I say intelligence, people just being honest with your own mind, looking at something from your mind and heart. If you study gang stalking, you walk away, honestly study it, and you walk away saying it's not real, I think you're lying to yourself, or you know it's real and you're lying to somebody else for whatever reason. And and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So gang stalking is an opportunity for people to be more aware and more in the truth with themselves. Now, I'm a veteran esoteric researcher, so I know all about studying the truth and the prices that can be paid behind studying the truth. But I'll tell you, it's worth it. Being the truth, and keep coming back. My email is rareartistsociety@gmail.com. I encourage people, if you want to get more involved, contact me. Free education and free courses for the people who are getting gang stalked. Okay, thank you for listening.